Welcome to Balancing Equations. These are several ways to balance an equation, but these are my best ideas. Balance items other than hydrogen and oxygen first. Write the number of each element after any coefficients have been added to keep track. You may place a coefficient on the front of the compound to balance the element. You may not change the subscripts for a compound. Recheck your answer.
We're going to use these 5 steps to practice balancing equations. So we might have this equation where we've got 2 reactants and 2 products. And we want to make sure by the time we're balanced that every one of the potassiums that's on the reactant side, the same number of potassiums are on the product side. That goes for oxygens and hydrogens and phosphorus as well. So these are the things we're going to keep in mind. So you should ask yourself how many potassiums are present on the reactant side. And so when you go to look at the equation, you're going to tally up all the ones that are to the left of the arrow. And you're going to tally up all the ones to the right of the arrow. So we see 1 potassium in the compound potassium hydroxide. And there's a coefficient of 1 out front. So that's a total of 1 potassium. Then if we look at our product side, we've got a 3 subscript next to the potassium. So that means I've got 3 potassiums on the product side. So then we should ask ourselves, how can we make them balance? So remember, the only thing I'm allowed to do when I balance an equation is put a coefficient out front. So the coefficient will be a 3 in front of my potassium hydroxide, which will give me 3 potassiums, 3 oxygens, and 3 hydrogens. So now we're going to try the phosphorus. In this compound, there's a subscript 1 next to the phosphorus, which means I have 1 phosphorus, and there's a 1 in front of my coefficient, so that's 1 phosphorus. Then on the product side, I have a coefficient 1 here, and a subscript of 1, so my phosphorus has 1. So we have 1 on the reactant side and 1 on the product side, so we don't need to make any changes. Now let's try our hydrogens. As soon as I added the coefficient in front of the potassium hydroxide, I now have 3 hydrogens. And in the second compound, I have 3 hydrogens in my phosphoric acid. So I have 3 from my potassium hydroxide plus 3 more from my phosphoric acid is a total of 6. Then on my product side, I have no hydrogens in that compound, but I have 2 hydrogens in my water. So I have 6 on my reactant side and 2 on my product side. So I need to figure out what coefficient belongs in front of my water such that I can have 6 hydrogens on both sides. So that's going to be a 3 in front of my hydrogens. So that 3 times 2 will equal 6 hydrogens. Now let's try our oxygens. I will have 3 oxygens from my potassium hydroxide and 4 oxygens from my phosphoric acid. So I have a total of 7 oxygens on my reactant side. And I have a coefficient 1 here, which gives me 4 oxygens, plus 3 times my 1 subscript here gives me 3. So 4 plus 3 is 7 oxygens. So my oxygens are balanced. So we need no changes. And then the last step, recheck your answer. I'm going to double check that I have the correct number of potassiums, oxygens, hydrogens, and phosphorus. So I have 3 times my 1 is 3 potassiums, and I have 3 potassiums on my product side. I have 3 times 1 oxygens plus 4 more is a total of 7. Then I have 4 on my product side plus another 3 is 7. And then my hydrogens, I have 3 hydrogens in my potassium hydroxide. I have 3 more there. I have a total of 6 hydrogens on the reactant side. And then I have 3 times 2 will give me 6 hydrogens on my product side. And we are done balancing our equation.